let's get started. Well, hello everyone. This is Joe Hage. I'm the leader of the Medical Devices Group on LinkedIn. And before we start, I want to thank you all for being here and for making our group the largest of its kind on LinkedIn and the most interactive. I feel a real sense of satisfaction when I see members helping one another. And notably, member George Blank, the chairman of the board for Vention Medical, is here to help you all who are remotely interested in the topic of offshoring. George, with Vention Medical, has presences all over the world, and notably he chose Costa Rica for a number of reasons he will share with you today. After George speaks, we have Pilar Madrigal, and she represents the Costa Rican Investment Promotion Agency. They have a forum coming up, the Life Sciences Forum, in March, where you'll have the opportunity to have a plant tour through Boston Scientific facilities and a number of others. She'll share that with you at the conclusion of our program. You're welcome to type questions during the course of our presentation, and towards the end, we'll be sure to get to as many of them as we can. I'm very excited to introduce George to you today. We had a run-through of this presentation on Friday, and I'm certain you will find this very valuable. George Blank is the chairman of the board for Vention Medical. George, thank you profoundly for joining us today. Take it away.
Thank you, Joe, and welcome everyone from around the country. It's a great privilege for me to be with you today and to tell you a little bit about our experiences in Costa Rica. It's a great place to do business, probably one of the best in the world. The quality and honesty of the people is unmatched. It's a very positive business environment. It's safe, it's beautiful, and people are very happy. Citizens are very happy. It's an enviable story, and it's only getting better. What I would like to do briefly this afternoon is share with you what our experiences have been, show you some things about what we've done. And to start that, I would like to tell you a little bit about our company, not in terms of promoting it in any way, but just so you have a context in which to understand how we approached where we manufactured and why we went to Costa Rica. So with that in mind, let me just introduce us. Many of you probably don't know who we are. We are a worldwide contract manufacturing company of single-use medical devices, featuring innovation, focusing on cost effectiveness, and focusing on the manufacture of not only full products but very complex, mission-critical components. Our company is comprised of 3 units. The first is a design unit. It comprises a company that was called TDC Medical, which we joined up with about 3 years ago. And their mission is to design medical devices, both in the less invasive and also in the cardiology-related interventional field. And I'll tell you a little more about them. We then have a group of companies that have a lot of technology and produce very complex, very important components for medical devices. One of them is Advanced Polymer, a company that again joined us several years ago. They manufacture very complex balloons, design and build. They manufacture the world's thinnest and strongest, smallest shrink tubing, which is very important in catheter manufacturing, and also do extrusion and design and manufacture catheters. We also have a company named Ansamed, which happens to be located in Ireland, and that company manufactures very, very high tolerance extrusions, including multi-layer extrusions, and also does catheter manufacturing. And then we have a molding and assembly division, which comprises the MedTech group, which was really our first company and the oldest of the companies, which has extensive capabilities in injection molding and related things to that, and full product manufacturing. We joined up with a company named ATEC recently, and that company, maybe 3/4 of a year ago, that company also concentrates on manufacturing of medical devices and on sterile packaging. So that's Vention Medical. And this will give you just a quick overview worldwide where we are. This is the design efforts. We have 7 locations. 3 of them are dedicated to only design and pilot manufacturing. And 4 of them are facilities that do manufacturing but also do design and development for customers. Here's our manufacturing footprint. We have 8 facilities that range from various places in the United States, from Texas east, the Caribbean, and Puerto Rico, Ireland, and Costa Rica. So now you know a little bit about us. I wanted to just share with you, what our thought was in terms of Costa Rica. So if you look at this picture of the Caribbean in the upper right-hand corner in sort of a salmon color is Puerto Rico. And then if you look diagonally to your left in green is Costa Rica, which is in the land connector between Mexico, North America, and South America. And we were manufacturing, we've been in Puerto Rico since 1990, and we were manufacturing plastic components and shipping them into Costa Rica. And so our people were traveling back and forth. We got to understand the country, learn about it, and we were very, very impressed. And we matched that experience with various other places, including the Far East, that we've looked at for expansion. And we selected Costa Rica. So in January 2004, we made a strategic decision to go to Costa Rica. We selected the country based on what it offered, and we did not have any business to bring there, but we felt strategically that it was a great place to be, and we were very much encouraged by many people, including the organization that Pilar represents, which is called CINDE, C-I-N-D-E, capital. And they are an independent organization that promotes investment into Costa Rica. They have very, very close ties with the government, but they're not a part of the government, which means they're entrepreneurial, they're quick-moving, and they are a major benefit to anyone looking at Costa Rica. And not only were they there with us to show us the country, and then when we decided to, in fact, start a company there, incorporate, helped us through all of the logistics necessary. Costa Rica is a democracy, and it has very precise rule of law. So you have to go through very definite procedures, which is a big advantage, by the way, because it has great fairness. And they helped us every step of the way. But more surprising, after we incorporated and started our facility, and I'll show you that in a moment, they were there with us every step of the way, each year, as we got bigger and we needed help and advice, whether it's figuring out how to get things through customs, filling out the right paperwork, or whether it is now, as we're larger, looking for more contractors to support our activities. They listened, and they acted, and they achieved. So they're a great partner, and I would say the best that we've experienced in various places that we are operating. So in 2004 we started. We opened our doors. This is a picture of the first plant. Very beautiful. You see the palm trees, and that was the MedTech Costa Rica SA, the first company. In 2008, ATEC also came to Costa Rica. We were friendly competitors at that time, and located actually in the same free trade park as we did. And so together we have clean room injection molding, device manufacturing, and sterile barrier packaging. So here was the beginning of operations, give you an idea of what it looks like. Everything we do in Costa Rica is world-class, the latest, most advanced equipment, the latest, most advanced clean rooms, because our customer base in Costa Rica are world-class companies, and you'll hear more about them in a medical cluster, and also the companies that we're manufacturing for around the world expect the best in terms of their manufacturers. So we also put in a tool room for injection mold building and injection mold maintenance, and then you see what that looks like. Here's a view of one of our clean rooms in assembly, and you see a packaging operation, blister packaging operation. You'll see in the background the walls in these clean rooms are all glass, so that we don't have to bring visitors in. They can see what's going on from the outside, and we don't have to compromise the clean room. And of course it forces us and our management to have everything very pristine. Today we have 5 facilities in the Metro Park, Free Trade Zone Park. They're all ISO and in the process of being FDA registered. One of them is a PMA registered facility. We have about 190 square foot of facilities, and we have in excess of 550 employees. And here you see 3 of those facilities in little cuts. Again, an aerial picture of park. Just mentioned the free trade zone. So there's Costa Rica is very competitive in terms of its tax-free environment, and based on signing up for that, you can locate it into a free trade zone. That means that you pay no local taxes or federal taxes. You pay no tariffs. So it's a big advantage. You cannot make products there to sell in the country. Everything we make is either sent to our customers who are the OEMs in the medical cluster in Costa Rica, or are sent outside, exported outside. So this is one free trade zone park. This is all controlled with a great deal of precision and formality, but it's a great advantage. We actually on capital equipment that we buy in the United States, we pay tariffs in some cases, and in Costa Rica we don't. So why do we invest in Costa Rica? Let's talk a little bit about a country. I think Costa Rica is Central America's country of the future. And as I said in my opening remarks, the business climate is outstanding, it's honorable, and it is very, very conducive to growth and success. So I mentioned the free trade zones, big advantage. Most people, when they speak about Costa Rica, they speak about low labor costs. And I want to get back to that in a minute, but by far the greatest advantage of all the things I'll mention is the workforce. It's a very educated workforce. It's a very young and talented workforce. It's a very loyal and passionate workforce. And over and over and over, when we started, we heard business owners and managers saying that when they moved production from other places in the world to Costa Rica, from assembly lines that were very mature and the people were extremely efficient, and they didn't think they could replicate that in Costa Rica, within 6 months, the Costa Rican assembly lines were outperforming wherever they came from. And that sounded nice, but I had a little trouble believing it, but that's really been our are experienced because Costa Rican workers are very motivated to improve and to excel. And so they are a major advantage of Costa Rica. But in addition to that, there's protection of intellectual property, same IP laws in Costa Rica as in the United States. As you know, there are many places in the world where companies have a difficult time bringing their best products because they can be copied and duplicated, and they'll turn around and they're facing their own products in the marketplace, except they're manufactured by somebody else. The business climate is very honorable, it's open, it's very enthusiastic. Suppliers and customers have a lot of respect for each other, and basically you usually get the truth as to what the needs are, and it's easier to get to a yes in this environment. There's a growing, for our business, Vention entire business is in the healthcare area, and there's a growing medical cluster, and there's also a growing supply base. So we're now starting to get packaging companies, metalworking companies, and as you know, in medical devices, there's always about 25–30% of the components are plastic. We take care of that ourselves. But then there are a lot of things that go in, sometimes electronics, a lot of metal, silicone, filters, whatever. And so the more that we can source locally, the more effective, the greater speed to market we have, and the greater ability we have to lower costs and improve profitability for our customers and ourselves. Cindy has been a real dynamic force in this area by working very hard to continue bringing second and third tier companies to Costa Rica. Costa Rica is a stable democracy, rule of law, big advantage. It's very close to the United States. From the East Coast, it's about 4 or 5 hour flight. There are direct flights. It has a proven record in manufacturing high volume and also lower volume complex products. And as I mentioned before, there are more and more world-class companies, OEMs, that are now manufacturing in Costa Rica. Joe mentioned Boston Scientific. St. Jude is now open and expanding. Hologic's been there. Moog's been there for a while. Abbott Vascular is now coming in. Their older company, Haspira, has been there a long time. Baxter's been there a long time. Volcano's just came. Covidian. And of course, we're there to support them. So a little bit more about the high quality labor. There's a great emphasis on education in Costa Rica. The former president of Costa Rica, Oscar Arias, once told me that the law in Costa Rica is you don't have to go into the Army. That's because they abolished it some time ago. But you do have to go to school. And there's education's free. There are 55 or so technical schools, colleges, universities. And by and large, most people that come in looking for a job will have high school and perhaps a year of college. I'll show you a little more about the education of management. But people are very educated. Also, there's a lot of emphasis on technology, so people are very computer literate. We have an ample and a very good source of tool makers and technicians, people who understand statistics, for example, and the level of loyalty and effectiveness is very, very high. So once again, here's a little picture for those of you who are trying to get a mental view. So here's the land link between Mexico and North America and South America. So it's right there. It's got 2 coasts, so it can ship on both sides. And it's located in a very, very strategic place in terms of shipping products in the Americas, but also across to west to China and east to Europe. It has very, very good ports on the Pacific side, which is the right side, and surprisingly good roads for traffic to go to the ports. The roads in and around where we are are in the process of being expanded and rebuilt, and they need work. It has great airports and very, very good harbors and very good access to those harbors. So going back to the education and the qualities of management, I'm sharing with you a picture of part of our management at Vention in Costa Rica. First of all, of the 550, 600 people we have, there are no expatriates. All of our management are Costa Ricans. And here's just one page of our leadership. And you'll notice in red those who, here are 4 out of 6 have master's degrees. The other ones have technical degrees or bachelor degrees. So people are educated, they're smart, and so when you're starting operations, you will find management and leadership that will be focused on improving things and bringing your business to a new level. The benefits of democracy, here in the center is the past president, Oscar Arias, coming to the dedication of our first facility. Leadership is very accessible. Our current president, Laura Chinchilla, again, very accessible. And as I mentioned before, the Cindy organization has very, very strong communications and discussions and channels of communication with the government, not for political reasons, but because of performance, because they have helped Costa Rica gain huge investment, gain jobs, gain technology, and gain a higher standard of living. So it is a democracy. There's a lot of emphasis on doing the right things for the people of Costa Rica. The leadership is very accessible and very friendly, and we can speak to any minister and present ideas and thoughts, and they take it as a business would, not as a political process would. So this is one of Costa Rica's advantages. So just to kind of sum up our thoughts, the people in Costa Rica, the government and Cindy, over the last 30, 40 years, have created a secure and ethical and a competitive business climate. We have found it to be a great place to do business, to create value, and to be able to compete with anyone in the world. You know, everyone always benchmarks labor. They say, well, what's labor in China now? What's labor in Vietnam? What's labor in Singapore? How about in Malaysia? What is it in Mexico? What is it in Costa Rica? Where is it? And Costa Rica is not the lowest per hour average, but when you take a look at the total cost of shipping, the cost of effectiveness, the security, the efficiency, the overall cost of management, it is a very, very, very competitive place to grow and compete. As a success story, and Costa Rica is being successful, they're not sitting on their laurels. They're continuing to innovate and to create greater value in 2012 and 13 going forward. An example of that is, for example, the first Life Science Conference, which is being held next March. I hope to be there. It's a way of showcasing and bringing people with all kinds of ideas and technologies to Costa Rica and to grow the country from a life science point of view. So I know you may have some questions later on. I'll be happy to do my best to answer them. And at this point, I'd like to turn the program over to my young, longtime friend, Pilar Madrigal.
Thank you, George. I just want to make sure that everybody is listening to me, and I am going to start. And first of all, I really want to thank George for sharing with us, you know, his experience in Costa Rica. I do want to reiterate one thing that George mentioned, which actually makes me admire him even more. We have been friends for many years now, but there's in your lifetime you meet certain people that mark that really impress you, and quite frankly, George Blanc is one of them. As he mentioned, when he first came to Costa Rica, he had no clients. But he had some verbal commitments from some companies that would say, if you come, I will do business with you. And as a great visionary and a risk taker, he came and he started with his first facility with MedTech. And after a few years, here is where he is. He has, as he mentioned, 5 different facilities and 550 people. But the most incredible thing is that he literally did not have a client when he came to Costa Rica. And so for me, that's very admirable in such a competitive industry. It is for me a great honor to have him as a friend, to have him as somebody that trusted Costa Rica and continues to trust. And I do want to thank him once again for joining us today. My part on today's webinar is to talk to you about the Life Sciences Forum Costa Rica that is going to take place, as I mentioned to you, on March 18th through the 20th on 2013. As George mentioned, CINDE has collaborated with a number of organizations to create forums and an opportunity to mingle with high-level executives and discuss trends and opportunities in Costa Rica and globally, especially because Costa Rica has become a global hub for the life sciences sector. Currently, we have over 40 multinational companies that have chosen Costa Rica for their global footprint. They have operations here that complement and benefit their bottom line in their main headquarters, most of them in the United States. So by being successful here, they continue to be successful in their main markets. So our objective as an organization that promotes the life sciences industry is to gather a group of more than 300 high-level representatives from manufacturing companies, from suppliers, from key service providers, consulting firms, and all other industry stakeholders to discuss about global trends. As George mentioned, CINDE not only acts as an investment promotion agency, but we do have a very strong commitment with the industry for its growth, for its success. And what we want to do here is make sure that people come and have the ability to, again, network, discuss ideas, trends, and see firsthand what some of these companies have done in the country. Our audience is outlined here, sectors and subsectors, everybody from orthopedic, endoscopy, urology, ophthalmology, and other service providers like contractors and suppliers of raw material, clean room specialists. So it's really going to be a group of people that all contribute in one way or another to the life sciences industry. As I mentioned to you, it is going to be from the 18th through the 20th of March. The venue is the Ramada Plaza Herradura. It's in a convention center. Hopefully, March is probably one of the best months to be in Costa Rica, so hopefully you'll have the opportunity to also enjoy the weather and enjoy some of the other options that Costa Rica offer, because as you know, it's also a very touristic destination. But clearly, our focus is to provide a forum for people to really take advantage of the trends of the life sciences industry. The agenda will include discussion sessions, conference and panels, and most importantly also, we have the opportunity to, actually you will have the opportunity to visit some of the production plants of the medical device companies, as Joe mentioned. Topics that will be included in the agenda is market entry strategies, accreditation, what is the real value of accreditation, such as the 13485 that George mentioned, and some of the other accreditations. The hurdles in the regulatory environment of the industry, clearly the trends of the global supply chain, and a view from the top from the OEMs. So we will have a panel from OEMs that will be discussing supplier development. And clearly we will be talking about doing business in Costa Rica and the business climate, the incentives, and more other topics in relation to our country. Some of our confirmed speakers to date, I'm going to outline them here. The first one is David Albert. If you have the opportunity to look for him, he developed a device that is attached to an iPhone and records your cardiac events. So the company is called AliveCore, and so he'll talk about innovation. He'll talk about how the mobile industry is changing healthcare, and clearly, his passion on innovation in the development of the industry itself. We will have a professor, Dr. Erdman from the University of Minnesota. He is currently a professor, but he has also consulted with a number of different companies on mechanical, biomedical, and product design. As you see there, he's worked with Xerox, but he's also worked with Sulzer Medical, St. Jude Medical, and so on and so forth. So we will also have some of his input. We will have Matt Shuhai, who is a director from Deloitte Consulting. He has had vast experience in domestic and international site selection and development, specializing in global development strategy, market entry, real estate, site evaluations, and so on and so forth. And he will focus his presentation on market entry and site selection. We will have Scott Nelson from MedCider. He's going to be a panelist, a moderator in a panel. He's worked in a number of different medical device companies, but recently he opened MedCider. And if you have the opportunity, you'll see that he interviews a number of people with very interesting topics. And he's very vibrant, and I'm sure he's going to be a great addition to our list. On behalf of Costa Rica, we'll have the Minister of Foreign Trade, who will be give our opening remarks. And we will also have both the President and the Director General of CINDE, who will, in two different times and days, will provide a snapshot of Costa Rica and what how we can complement on the global footprint of these medical device companies. Some of these, companies that have very kindly opened the doors, and we believe this is a very, very interesting opportunity for everybody, and we encourage everybody to take advantage, is these companies have opened their doors for you to go and visit with them. So as you know, St. Jude Medical is here, Allergan, Baxter, Boston Scientific has 2 facilities. They're going to open both of them. Abbott Vascular, Covidien, and Hologic. It is important for you to know that the live registration will start tomorrow. We have a pre-registration going on today, and we are actually raffling a free tour for one of these facilities. So we encourage people to pre-register hopefully today, and you will be able to participate in that raffle. And the registration is going to be opened as of tomorrow, and you'll be able to start planning to come down to Costa Rica. We have a number of sponsorships, and we are inviting you guys to consider also sponsoring the event. We have a total of over 40 booths. A number of them have been sold already. But to date, we have banks, we have Deloitte, we have Sterigenics, we have Vention, we have Micro, we have PolyOne, and we continue to receive a number of requests for being able to sponsor the event. You'll have the ability to have a booth, to sponsor different activities, and we really encourage people to come and take advantage of here the gathering of 300 people to talk and showcase whatever you feel interested in showcasing, your products, your services, and so on and so forth. If you want more information on the event, this is our website, is lifesciencescr.com. And it is being updated every week, so we encourage you to visit it, to continue to visit, so you see updates in the agenda, updates in the sponsors. You will be able to see there the packages for sponsoring, and clearly you will be able there to register as of tomorrow and take advantage of this opportunity for you to come down, enjoy Costa Rica, enjoy the weather, reconvene here with a number of your peers, and talk about trends, and visit with some of these outstanding companies that clearly have world-class manufacturing facilities here in our country. So with that, I'm really hoping that you are able to learn more about Costa Rica, pass the word, and come down. We will be happy to receive you here, and I can guarantee you you will have the opportunity to learn a lot.
Pilar and George, thank you. That was a great presentation, and as we all expected, we have a few questions here. If you have a question, I encourage you to go ahead and enter it now. George, the first question is for you, and that is that looking over the presentation, we saw the map of all the locations that you have for Vention Medical. Can you tell us, where did Costa Rica fall in chronologically? Was it the first country you went to, the last, somewhere in the middle, and how have you decided along the way about diversification of locations? How many is right? Does it make sense to only be in Costa Rica? If you'd please comment.
Right. Well, it's a great question, Joe. Thank you. Costa Rica, our first offshore investment was in Puerto Rico, and we have a campus there now. We have 3 plants, and we have about 200 people working in Puerto Rico. And as we expanded, we were looking for a lower cost option to manufacture some of the more mature products. And so we looked in various places, certainly Mexico, as I said in my opening remarks, we spent a fair amount of time in Singapore and the areas around that. And we selected Costa Rica because we felt that our customers wanted lower cost options, but they wanted it in a secure environment. So they also wanted it in a place where they could touch and feel it more easily. And Costa Rica was ideal. We really looked carefully at Mexico, and this was really even before the current difficulties occurred. But we found that Mexico, while it was very accessible, particularly for companies in California, there was a lot of difficulty with untrained labor and labor turnover. And when you're making complicated devices and where customers expect perfect quality, we just felt that Costa Rica offered us a much better platform. And so we selected that. That was the next place we went to, and as you know, we've been growing there well. We then went to Ireland, particularly to get some additional technology, but also to have a footprint near Europe. And we are obviously looking for additional facilities. I think that today OEMs and contract manufacturers are not looking so much as the lowest cost place to manufacture and then send anywhere in the world. I think the strategy is to go to regions and to manufacture for that region. So I think that most of the companies that are, let's say, manufacturing in Malaysia, generally speaking, they're not manufacturing in Malaysia and sending back to the U.S. market. There is a little bit of that, but most of that are products that are going to be distributed in that part of the world. And also many of these products are now being designed specifically for that part of the world.
Let me follow up on that quickly. You talked about Malaysia and by extension Asia. That's a hot topic on the Medical Devices Group board. I think I understood you to say that it's not as efficient as you might think, slash if you're planning to have products shipped into the United States, you'd be better off in Costa Rica than Asia. This is your personal experience at Vention?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, China has made great progress and has a lot to offer, but there are difficulties in China. The tax laws keep changing very frequently. The cost of doing business has escalated dramatically. There's still, the government of China has laws protecting, but there's no enforcement. So there's a great deal of concern about IP. There is difficulty. When we're dealing with people in China, and we have a problem right now, Joe, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. They're asleep. So getting things changed, improved communications, I mean, it's possible, and there are ways of overcoming, but it's not as convenient. Costa Rica is at most 2-hour difference from the East Coast of the United States. So for the Americas, certainly Costa Rica is a very, very competitive and appealing solution. For the Far East, and we're certainly looking at that for the Far East, there are places that one can look at. Malaysia is one of them.
Okay. Actually, a number of questions have come in, so we'll see how many we can get to. This one, I think, is for Pilar. Cynthia writes, I traveled to Costa Rica in December, and it was wonderful, happy, well-populated, well-educated population. However, the roads outside of San Jose were terrible. I was lucky to do 30 miles per hour. Is this the case where Vention's facilities are located? What can you say about the infrastructure of the roads and the like?
Okay, well, thank you very much for the question. It's typically a question that a lot of our tourists actually ask. And let me, and you'll be able to see this more physically if you go on our website and look at our maps. But clearly, a lot of the bigger facilities and industrial infrastructure is in what we call the greater metropolitan area. And that is right in the center of San Jose. I mean, that's right in the center of the country. Vention clearly is not anywhere near the more remote tourist areas of the country. Neither they have to go through any very bad roads to get to the ports. So the infrastructure to support the industry is clearly there. It has been a priority for for the government for many years. Clearly, today to go to any of the ports, if you do ship by ocean, you will be able to get to either of the ports within an hour. So you can go from the Atlantic and then go to the Pacific. You can actually have breakfast in the morning in the Pacific and then have a nice dinner in the Atlantic or the other way around. So, and the circle in the middle of San Jose has the appropriate infrastructure for the companies to operate. In relation to our roads outside and in some of the touristic areas, yes, absolutely. We are in the process of developing more infrastructure. There are a number of infrastructure projects that are now out for concession, for public concession. So, and we have a lot of them out for bidding. And so it is a priority, and we are definitely working on it. Curiously, though, I have to say that Costa Rica has been also named for not necessarily a resort tourism type of people. A lot of people that come to Costa Rica call it adventure. And in some of the surveys, they've actually said that, you know, this going in this roads and going on you know, going through a small river and going down the river and coming back on their cars or going up the roads is part of the adventure. So some people have taken advantage of it in a positive way, but the point here is that definitely the government has put a lot of effort into the betterment of the infrastructure. And anywhere all these free trade zone parks are, the important thing for you to know is that these are private developers that have built these free trade zones, and clearly they have already contributed to the enhancement of the infrastructure.
Pilar, I'd like to give you a role in marketing. I like your spin, part of the adventure.
It is true, actually. It is true.
Fair
That's
enough.
what some people do say.
George, for you, a question from Ralph in Puerto Rico. I know you have a facility there. Ralph asks, what services would you like to see in Costa Rica that you don't presently have in order to operate effectively?
Great. Thank you, Ralph. Well, you know, Puerto Rico has been a major manufacturing center for 50 years for pharmaceuticals and medical devices, so it is a very developed infrastructure. What I mentioned in my presentation and what Cindy's working on and what we are working on is to bring more of the component manufacturing into the country, so that if we manufacture a medical device that has 50 components and 28 are plastic and you know, the rest are metal, springs, some electronics, silicone, batteries, that we can you know, source them locally. So that has been improving, but it has a ways to go, and it's a work in progress. The good news is that there's a lot of emphasis on that, and a lot of leadership on the part of Cindy as well as the government of Costa Rica.
Thank you, George.
If you don't mind, Joe, let me just add up here a couple of things. Yes, we actually believe that there is, even though the supplier base has extended exponentially since 2000 till now, we have ways to go. But you know, an example of them is, for example, the sterilization facilities. We worked very hard for many years to convince the sterilization companies to come because we believe that some of these companies are now oops, I'm sorry, that was not me, but some of these companies are producing in Costa Rica to distribute globally. They're going not only back to, you know, to some other Latin American countries or to the U.S., Mexico and Canada, but they are also distributing to Asia, to Europe. And we work very hard on sterilization to bring technology so finished product could go directly to those markets. And that actually would definitely benefit companies because they do not have, they have a one less stop to go. So it is, that's how we've worked, and we have meetings with the OEMs and the suppliers, you know, pretty much every month to discuss with them what is it that they need. And we try to then focus on volume and go to the suppliers and say, well, you know what, there's probably enough volume for you to consider to come and help us with the industry. So again, we welcome any of you that are, you know, have clients here or that are interested in the region to come and chat with us about that.
Thank you, Pilar. I want to be sure to respect everyone's time. We'll try to keep this to the last 7 minutes so we finish on time. The next question is for George. It comes from Flynn. I think. Oh, I see. It's Erin. Sorry about that. Erin asks, the advantages you mentioned for Costa Rica sound similar to those in the upstate region of South Carolina. Why do you think we're losing jobs to places like Costa Rica?
Well, South Carolina is a great state, and it's a right-to-work state. And it has, of course, education and many things we mentioned. Costa Rica is a lower cost, significantly lower cost. So if you look at labor rates, if you look at technicians, tool makers, supervisors, engineers, managers, directors, the cost is just significantly less. So if you look at the labor portion of your manufacturing, which goes with the cost of goods, that is going to be lower. And if you look at your overhead, which is the stack up of your quality technicians and quality inspectors and your engineers and your supervisors, that's going to be less. If you look at the fringe costs, those are going to be less. So overall, those costs per product manufactured on a manufacturing floor, on a clean room floor, are going to be less. Now that doesn't mean that everything is going to go to Costa Rica out of North Carolina. I think there's a natural progression of things. I think there'll be many companies who invent and develop and ramp up production of medical devices in Northern California or Southern California, who may in fact find North Carolina very, very attractive, because North Carolina is a lot lower cost than California, and it also is in the continental United States. It has a lot of things there that are necessary and that are helpful. But in other situations, companies need a lower price, and Costa Rica is a very secure, accessible, safe, and low-cost answer.
Thank you, George. In the interest of time, I'll jump to the next question. It comes from Cynthia, and she asks, are universities in Costa Rica encouraging engineers to pursue degrees other than industrial engineering? Recent experience has shown the vast majority of engineers are industrial. Or perhaps, Pilar, you can take that one.
Yes, absolutely. George, unless you want to talk about that, but let me...
Well, I like industrial engineers. I started that way, and I've been very lucky. But in truth, there is a lot of computer science, a lot of mechanical engineers. One of the first large employers in Costa Rica is Intel. I believe they have 3,000 people now. They manufacture all the Pentium chips for North and South America in Costa Rica, in the San Jose area. And they needed chemical engineers, and they needed metallurgical engineers, excuse me. They needed a lot of mechanicals, electricals. And one of the things that happens in Costa Rica, if you need biochemists, because you're opening up an operation, you start working with Cindy and the government, and several universities will now adjust their curriculums and offer that in response to that. They are that responsive, and the country is that quick to make changes. They are obviously smaller than North Carolina in terms of population, but they are able to make those kind of adjustments. You have the facts in terms of what number of engineers are, Pilar, that are graduated?
Yes. Well, the truth, let me just sum up. Absolutely. What we have done is we have done work groups with the HR managers of the different industry, of the different companies. Actually, not only for the medical device, but for the advanced manufacturing, because as George mentioned, yes, Intel is one of the 35 companies of the advanced manufacturing sector that is here. And we have working groups with them, and we organize meetings with them in order for them to tell us how do you envision your company in the next year, 2 years, 3 years. and what type of labor force are you looking, what type, and we have sum up you know, the most important sectors or HR specialties that they want to focus in, and then we brought in the academia. And yes, a lot of them have actually developed customized programs for some of these companies in order for them to be able to literally just grab them as soon as they are they graduated. So it is a very proactive effort. It is an ongoing effort. We've done this through many different channels. We have we just had an expo from all the universities. We have job fairs. So we encourage people to really understand what is it that people are needing, and this is again in close coordination with the companies and the academia. We have been seeing and I don't have the facts right in front of me, but I believe it's an annual growth of about 4% in the growth of engineers in the country, in different, actually I have them right here. We have a metrology technical program for calibration that started in 2012. We're going to start with quality specialization in technical high schools in February 2013. Logistics and supply chain specialization in technical high schools. In the technical high schools, they are also working a lot to provide a number of people that would be that can actually work in these companies. Biomedicine university degrees, masters in electronic degrees. So we are working in a number of different programs to cater to the industry. And I think we've been very responsive, and we're really, working hard to provide the right labor force.
Thank you both for that answer. What I'm going to do now, we are at the top of the hour. I am sending a link to everyone in the chat box. That's a live link to lifesciencescr.com to find out more about the in-person forum in March. If you would, go ahead and leave some comments for us. Give us a sense of was this as helpful for you as it was for me? And do you think you might come on down and see us in March? It is at the top of the hour. George and Pilar, I want to ask, do you have an extra moment or two? We have a few more questions, and we can ask them, or we can just have you get back with them after the conference.
No, I can answer a couple more.
Yes, me too.
Okay. Well, let's continue then. And for those of you who need to drop off, I understand, and very much thank you for joining us. The next question comes from Bob Schellenberg. He asks, George, you mentioned Costa Rica is good for mature products. Does that mean that it's not good for immature products or developing products?
Oh, that's a great question. No. As a matter of fact, I mentioned that Costa Rica is not, as a country, is not, and leadership is not resting on the laurels. One of the big initiatives now is to bring research and development into Costa Rica, and companies are starting to do that, to start using the intellectual power of scientists and engineers there to do original research, original design. No, but as the country was developing, the roadmap was that people would tend to take mature products which then had some market pressure on pricing. We're very fortunate in the healthcare field. The products have a long lifespan, unlike electronics where everything changes every 9 months. So products tend to go 8, 10, 12 years in the market. And when a product is new and it's exciting, companies have a certain price structure, and after 6 or 8 years, there's pressure in pricing. And what everyone does is they work hard to try to reduce their costs and maintain their margins. And when they finish that process, then they look around for a low-cost operation. Some people have gone to Mexico and manufacture still. Some have gone and come back. So the first thought is, can we take products that are mature and move them to a low-cost environment. But once people do that and they discover the level of a sophistication that's capable, we manufacture some of our most complicated, for example, catheter products that we manufacture anywhere in Vention. We manufacture in Costa Rica. So it's a sort of a migration. Once companies see what can happen, then they're very anxious to perhaps go with new and fresh products. And the country is capable of it, and we certainly do both.
Thank you, George. The next question is from John Morris. He writes that his company, Avid Innovation, is located in Santa Rosa, California. He manufactures production and test equipment for the medical device industry. And he asks, do you have any suggestions for gaining exposure specifically to the Costa Rican medical device manufacturers? And I can give that to either George or Pilar.
Yeah, come to the
life sciences forum.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be a great opportunity if you take a small booth. You would get great exposure there because everybody's there. When we have a big exposition, MDM show, whatever, a lot of people come to that. But in Costa Rica, everyone comes. So all the OEM, all the engineers, all the managers, and you would get a very good, John, you'd get a very good exposure to potential customers for your products.
Kind of gave you guys a layup on that one, huh?
Santa Rosa is one of my favorite places. Beautiful, beautiful. Congratulations for working and living in paradise.
This next question is important because we have to put my friend Scott Roberts to bed. He's calling in from Italy. Hello, Scott. And Scott writes, what is the ratio of Costa Rican, that's funny, what's the ratio of Costa Rican manufacturing companies for predominantly American multinationals to SMEs with in-house technology, independent of the multinationals able to compete globally? Was that clear, or shall I repeat that?
Do you want to repeat that?
Yes, and maybe rephrase it, because I'm reading it, but I'm not quite understanding it.
Well, let me try this second one, Scott, and see if this kind of is a paraphrase of what you've written. What is Costa Rica's policy towards product innovation, R&D, and the generation of subject matter experts with ability to work independently?
I think he's actually SMEs. I think he's actually not subject matter experts, but small and medium enterprises.
You're right. You're right.
So I'm kind of understanding the topic here. George, I don't know if you want to say anything, but or I can jump in it.
Well, as I said before, Scott, there is a huge initiative to promote and support independent research, not only in sciences, but also in areas like advertising, promotion, creating creative areas. And there are now some good-sized organizations. We ourselves, Vention, are planning to put one of our research and development engineering centers in Costa Rica to use some of the talent in Costa Rica along with other centers. So yes, I think there's a great opportunity to innovate and to use the talent. There really is really nice talent, educated, creative young people, and some mature people in Costa Rica to support that.
George, if you'll allow me to interject, Scott, is your first question in essence asking, among the medical device companies in Costa Rica, how many of them are from America versus outside of America? And yes, that is a yes. Pilar, can you answer that?
Again, can you repeat what is the
basically
okay, so what is the ratio? Yes, yes. What is the ratio?
How many are from the U.S.?
So most of the companies that have set up operations here in the life sciences industry are from the United States. They are multinational. And so we have the ones that contribute to the cluster are not necessarily OEMs. They would be suppliers. And yes, there is a very, and you will see some of them actually at the Life Sciences Forum, small, medium enterprises that are training themselves. They're actually going through understanding the accreditation to get the 13485 and others to become part of the cluster, but mostly on the supply chain. So, there's components, some small contract manufacturers that are really coming up to support the industry, clearly because we have seen, as I mentioned, a good 12 or 15 OEMs that have decided to set up in the country. So the small and medium enterprises are very, very aggressively moving forward in training themselves and making lean product, lean manufacturing, and accreditation. In relation to what is our policy for innovation, R&D, and I can tell you that we have specifically a couple of very good programs right now, or not programs, but initiatives to develop R&D. One is called the Higher Education Improvement. It is a World Bank project, and they have provided a $250 million credit to improve the capacity of the universities and respond to areas like engineering and research centers and labs and so on and so forth. The other one is an Innovation and Human Capital for Competitiveness, and that is an AIDB project, and that's a $35 million credit. And that's towards innovation also in human capital, including things like scholarships for PhDs and masters. So we believe that we're going to be able to contribute with those scholarships for about 160 people. So there is a great push for innovation and R&D initiatives.
I think there are a few Costa Rican owned and Costa Rican started manufacturers companies in the country, and I'm trying to think if there's any OEMs that are from, for example, Europe. There may be a few, but I can't think of any right now. Pilar is right. The majority are North American OEMs. They are, of course, all international companies.
With that, we will conclude our webinar today. George, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your insights with us. Pilar, thank you so much for sponsoring this educational forum for our members. And I'm excited about your forum. I hope to see many of you down there in Costa Rica. And with that, you know how to find me, jhage@medicaldevicesgroup.net. If you'd like to get in touch with George or Pilar after this call, please contact me, and I'll make sure to make that introduction. Thank you all very much. Make it a great day.